Today in the crypto space, we see the market doing pretty good. Bitcoin still pushing to the upside, up approximately 2.6%. Ethereum doing well, $2,600, up approximately 4.5%, give or take. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, some really good gainers like Altcoin, CRO, Dogwith, Fat Tau, and many others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that a lot of people are buzzing about and is definitely at the bottom of the range, and this project is called Qubic. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up, down, bearish, or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on with the general market. As usual, guys, if you look at the market cap, the overall market cap, yes, it's rising slow and steadily. What I don't like about it is that there's no trading volume. Very low trading volume in this rise to the upside, meaning I worry about sustainability. I worry about the sustainability of this rally up. Could it just be a bit of relief? Could it just be a dead cat bounce type of scenario where we see a bit of market participation, a bit of, FOMO come in, and then all of a sudden we come back down, and maybe a worst case scenario we make another lower low, guys. Obviously that would be super bearish, but we do have to keep in mind that as long as we do not see market participation getting involved into this rally up, very low volume, it starts to worry me that it's not going to be sustainable. So with that being said, what I'm always going to be doing here is ensuring that I have some cash on the side, some stables on the side, ready to deploy just in case we come down for a confirmation low. Now, a confirmation low can come in many ways, right? We can make that lower low like I'm mentioning. That would be a little bearish, of course. We can make a nice double bottom, giving us a sign that the bears are losing their strength, not having enough strength to make a lower low, or maybe even a higher low, a confirmation low suggesting that the previous low was the low. So any of that data would actually make us bullish here. So of course I'm going to be waiting. No guarantee that the market's going to give it to me, but if it does, I'm going to be ready to spam some buy orders. But nonetheless, in the meantime, we're continuing to look for those bottom dwelling altcoins and projects that are looking very strong, ready for support. And of course, today I want to talk about Qubic, because Qubic could be one of those projects that right now are at the bottom of the range, desperately trying to find that horizontal support. And guys, if you want me to cover any of the projects that you're interested in, join me live tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we're going to be talking about crypto news and price action. I'll be taking requests, and of course, I'll be putting them in top priority. Let's continue going down and see what's going on with the market. We saw Bitcoin doing very well here the last little while. Yes, up 2%. Ethereum up approximately 4%. So definitely starting to begin, like Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin, which is an interesting thing. But if you look at its structure of the price action on Ethereum has a little bit more work to do, given the fact that it's still below horizontal levels that were once support and now acting as potential resistance. Now, Bitcoin, in fact, is currently dealing with that level. It's falling in below it, breaking above it, teetering between that bullish and bearish state. Guys, make sure not to be too, flipping around too much, bearish, bullish. What you got to do is wait for the market to resolve itself. Wait for the market to give you the indication that we're going in a particular direction, because I believe that right now Bitcoin could get into a short-term consolidation based on the indecision that we see in this market currently and the low volume. And this is where a lot of new traders, a lot of individuals get a lot, pretty much give back a lot of their gains back to the market. So be very careful here. I think it's a moment where we might want to just chill out and see where the market goes. And we'll look at the Bitcoin price in a second, and then we'll get into the Qubic chart. BNB looking okay, obviously grinding back up 2%, not too bad, but again, trying to reclaim previous price action. In the next little while, we should see that Solana is in the same boat, got a bit of a more of a rejection than the rest, but it did get a bigger bounce than the rest, right? It did reclaim previous price action with a very strong move up in the last little while. So Solana is still a beast. XRP taking a bit of a dip despite the negativity I expected, or even the positivity. Regardless, the positivity with regarding the XRP lawsuit should have propelled XRP to much higher levels, and in fact it really didn't do much, to be honest. Continue to the downside, UBC Toncoin looking good with a nice bounce, 5-6%, not bad. And we see a lot of these projects doing okay, but the fractal, guys, look at this little fractal, these little charts that you see on the right hand side. You can see a lot of them are very similar, and a lot of them are not making higher highs in big picture perspective. Little local highs, okay, we're breaking above them bit by bit, slow and steady, low volume moves, no doubt, up a few percent per day. That's still great, slow grind to the upside. However, that's not really a sign of strength here. We want a sign of strength where we starting to see breakouts, strong moves to the upside. For example, CRO looking pretty good, right? Obviously, that's a nice strong move, nice conviction. All of a sudden we see a 16% move to the upside in SUI, another strong one, impulsive move. Currently looking to get a consolidation for a potential bull flag here for continuation to the upside. These are the moves that we like to see. Now, slow grinds are obviously good. They're very healthy, no doubt. But we got to be patient. We got to understand with slow grinds, we could get short-term dips and then continue to the upside slow and steadily. This is something that we got to understand. So I feel like we got to let the market resolve itself, despite some of the good movers like SUI, for example. We gotta, just chill out and realize that a lot of the rest of the market is just basically waiting for its turn and to see where we're going to be going with things. We saw Injective do pretty good in the last little while, 10%, and I felt, that we needed to get a bit of exposure on an Injective, and all of a sudden we're seeing not bad of a price action here, but still big picture, nothing really. It didn't even really leave the station just yet, and a lot of the altcoins are in a very similar boat, as can be seen. Celestia is another one that's doing pretty good, 23% to the upside, a nice crack to the upside, pretty good, testing previous highs. This is what we want to see. And if you look at what's really happening here, we're seeing a lot of the newer layer ones actually show strength here, Celestia, Sui, and so on. So this is not bad of a scenario to see a little bit of a consensus amongst a narrative here. Newer layer ones are looking good, maybe potentially competing with Ethereum and so on. And that's not bad of a scenario, right? Thorchain, Rune kind of going sideways. I have high hopes for a nice rebound, a nice, reclamation of previous highs on Thorchain Rune. I've been building a position, and little by little, I think my position is filling, and to the point that, I'm going to start transitioning into looking into a narrative, another project, maybe Qubic. Qubic's been, one of those projects that I've been focusing on in the last little while, on whether I should be accumulating bigger bags. At this point, I do hold, I am a big holder, but, how much more do I need to hold? And that's the question. I feel like it could be a really good project to see, run up in this bull run. Obviously, I have other picks as well, but Qubic is one of those low market cap projects that could do very well, and I want to make sure that I'm exposed enough to the volatility that it can make some good gains. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on with the Bitcoin price. I know that you guys are here to talk about charts, so let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is kind of a bit, at the end of the day, it's kind of a bit deceiving. Why? Because this is where things get a little bit hectic. We see the horizontal, right? We defined this as a bull flag way early on in within the consolidation, within the flag right into here. All of a sudden we started coming down, making lower lows. Then we transitioned from being a bull flag to a descending broadening wedge, which is all fine. Now, as we see the price action get back into the previous structure, which is the bull flag, and you can see that the bull flag is right around this level, we start to involve the emotional individuals that had the conviction on the bull flag. Now, just keep in mind, bull flags do have a bias to the upside. Keep in mind that broadening wedges, descending broadening wedges also have a bias to the upside. So regardless of your stance, regardless of your setup or your structure that you've been following in the last little while, I think that we should have a bullish bias. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. At the end of the day, this is very difficult. Charting has a scenario where, sometimes you can fit the price action with many structures. It's clearly a broadening wedge at this point. but at one point we were building emotion and building positions based on a bull flag. And I'm going to show you something. Look at the volume profile that suggests, yes, that bull flag had a lot of emotion. As you can see, look at the volume profile right below this horizontal, which is this line right here. Look at the volume, it kind of diminishes, which is why I would like to respect the fact that a lot of people believed that it was going to be a bull flag to the upside. A lot of volume was accumulated in this area. A lot of market participation was involved in this area. People were getting all involved. So what we want to know is, do we get back into the structure that was once a bull flag and start respecting this horizontal and back testing and springing and perhaps getting up to the previous high zone, which is at about 70 to 72K. Now that's very bullish, but look what's happening here at the current moment. Yes, we got some great green price action in the last 24 hours. Awesome stuff. But in the last little while, I would say that you could see that we're getting a bit of a dip or a back test of previous price action. And that's where things start to get really hectic. Why? Because that's where we start to look for position building. A lot of individuals are saying, okay, should I be buying the dip? And we start to look for confluence. A couple of things that I notice here. Number one, obviously, you can see that we're disrespecting, scrubbing through this horizontal line. Now, some may argue, you know what, make it tilted a little bit, right? Tilted. I'm going to stay true to the volume. The volume is what's most important because the volume tells me that there's emotion. So I'm going to keep it horizontal like this. And I'm going to keep on, keeping an eye on the fact that, yes, we do have the 200 daily right below, that maybe people say, you know what, instead of me worrying about this horizontal, let's see how it respects to 200 daily. And guess what, guys? It got a nice little bounce. It was close enough to the horizontal. We could continue respecting it. We can stay above it and get the back test off the 200 instead of the horizontal line, and that will be totally fine. And then we get back to the upside. But we have to get into lower time frames here. If you get on the 4 hour, you can see what's going on. Really, what I would have appreciated was the price to get above and come back and back test the horizontal line, the white line, instead of getting back below it. And this is what we're dealing with right now. It's disrespecting the horizontal, the volume that we identified already. It's coming down. Maybe it's going to be a sweep of the lows. Maybe it's going to be a liquidity hunt, or maybe, a swing failure comes down, gets back up, and maybe it just bounces around this level for a good moment of time, getting a lot of people wrecked with trying to get in and get out of the market. And that's usually when I start to say, you know what, I want to let the market resolve itself. It's in the chop zone, guys. Look at the momentum. It's coming down, slowly getting it into the 0% or the 50% mark, right around this level. And that's when you really want to, just lay back and just, see what happens. If the market gets a nice big bull flag with a nice structure, you might want to go long, obviously continuing the trend. If we see some signs of weakness, bearish divergences and things like that, you might want to, maybe just let it fall, maybe buy the dip, or, if you wanted to short the market, that's it. Now, we do see volatility pushing down. We got the orange lines way up here in the last little while here on the 4 hour. Now, it could be that we're looking for oversold conditions. So on the 4 hour, you could expect a bit of a dip, which means that we could come down and back to some of this price action, 57,000, 57,400, which would be absolutely fine. If you think about it, it would still be considered a higher low at this level to come down. We do see the momentum still looking good. The trend is looking good. Let's see the trend oscillator. Let's see if we can get this bigger. EMA facing up. Expansions are nice and purple. Everything is looking nice and bullish regarding the trend. So the trend, the momentum looking pretty good. Just a bit of volatility to the downside as we are getting a short-term dip. So what do we do here, guys? This is the problem here with Bitcoin. Personally speaking, I do feel like Bitcoin is going to be playing a bit of games right here, as we have done in the past. A bit of consolidations, a few candles in the next couple of days. Yes, today's Friday, and we know that the weekend brings a lot of weird volatility with the order books are very, very thin. So you really want to lay off the major riskier positions during the weekend and just, follow the charts. If we get an opportunity where we see the price fall, that's totally fine. Maybe we buy some dips, maybe you accumulate at a little bit lower levels, but at the current moment, I would be hanging tight here. There's nothing really, there's no edge. Bitcoin is sideways. If you bought anywhere within this range, even in the past, anywhere, you're pretty much at break even. Bitcoin is still kind of going sideways despite the volatility within the structure. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at Qubic. I know a lot of us are buzzing about Qubic. I've been hearing a lot about Qubic in the last little while, and to be honest, we're due for an update. I did do a deep dive a while back. A lot of people were buzzing about it, so I felt like I needed to take a look. And ultimately, I feel like I'm due for an update because it's been a while and it's been listed on MEXC, it's been listed on many exchanges, so that's a good sign. And unfortunately, as we see the progress throughout the last little while, all we're seeing is the price action fall. Now, it's not exclusive to Qubic. We know that the market in general has been facing a lot of sell pressure in the last little while. Now, this is where Qubic's at. And in fact, Qubic at this current moment, it may be looking for support. I'm going to be honest here. When we're looking at the price action, we're still making lower lows and lower highs. This is something that we really have to understand. And I rarely cover projects like this with price action like that, but it's just because there's a lot of people thinking about Qubic and talking about Qubic. I felt like it would be very a viable scenario to kind of see exactly what edge we have over the market. It's important that when you become a trader that you get the edge in your favor, right? You don't want to get into where the odds are 50-50. You want the odds in your favor. Now, the first thing that I want to identify is the horizontal top, okay? The resistance. This is the resistance. This is in a level that we got to really watch out for. Why? Because once we get back to this range, this is where the volume ends and we get a lot of emotional individuals at this level. Okay, we can get people going short, people that, basically this volume, there's some people that got in based on short positions and volume on short positions, and people with stop losses right around here on those short positions based on the tops, based on the volume, that could happen and we can see a bit of a dip. So we got to be worried about, maybe, de-risking at this level. And obviously down here where it's like, this is almost like what I'm going to do, to be honest, is I'm going to make it a bit thicker because it's important right now, but we also have to, reduce its importance by saying, look, it's still very hypothetical because we didn't get any really any confirmations here to suggest that this is a bottom from a price action perspective. All we are doing is making lower lows and lower highs. We're closing candles to much lower levels. Now, as this is happening, we see lots of volume. There's a lot of market participation in the sell-off. When are the bears going to show us weakness? Now, if you look at the oscillators, things are looking pretty good because we're making higher lows on the momentum while we're making lower lows on the price action. This is class A bullish divergence. Now, it's happening on the daily. Bigger signs of divergence on daily time frames are really a lot stronger, a lot more confident. You can see the expansions after each dip to the downside. The strength of the expansion is getting smaller and smaller, the red expansions in the background. So this is looking pretty good as far as the bears showing weakness. How much more to the downside could they actually push the price? That's something that we got to consider. Now, if you start looking at the volatility, the trend, the trend is actually looking pretty good as well, because you can see we're actually getting divergence as well. Class A bullish divergence. Each time we got a push to the downside, and compared to this one, you can see we're diverging. We made lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the trend oscillator, which is a good sign to suggest that maybe the bears are once again are showing weakness. However, guys, I'm going to just say this once. The reality is that these divergences sometimes can get 3 drives. Right? We can go for another lower low and still maintain a higher low on the oscillators, whether it be momentum or even trend, to the point that we continue doing something like this, where we have 3 drives of bullish divergence, and as we come down for another lower low. This is all possible. And the reason why I want to leave this open to possibility is because we have no price action looking left. There's nothing around this area to suggest that we are getting some support. Now, there are charts out there that have a little bit more data. If you want to go on a different, there's the centralized exchange called, I think it's called Safe Trade, if I'm not mistaken. But you are more than welcome to go try out, those exchange charts, but they're not on TradingView. However, you got to admit that once we start getting into mainstream exchanges, I would say that volume matters much more. Right, that volume matters much more. Bags are getting bigger. It's on MEXC now. I'm looking at a Gate chart because Gate listed it a lot earlier, so we got a little bit more price action. But these exchanges offer a lot more volume, a lot more market involvement, and that means that the volume and the charts that are provided by these exchanges could be a little bit more, let's say, trustworthy for that matter. So what I'm interested in here is what's happening on lower time frames, because you got to admit there's not a lot of data. So let's get back into price action, so we can just focus on price action, and let's get down to the 4 hour. And 4 hours showing us a little bit of a different story, right? The story is that, right here at the bottom, we could be looking for a reversal right around this area because we got a quick move to the downside. We came back up, bounced, and right now we're pushing up. Do we get up to the 200 EMA on the 4 hour? All very possible. We saw the divergence on the daily based on these two bottoms, which is great. But at any point, do we actually get a higher high? This is what we want to see, is a higher high or a higher low, one or the other, especially on the daily. You can see that the 4 hour right now with regards to momentum pushing to the upside, trend is still pushing up here on the 4 hour. Bullish, really, really good. As long as Bitcoin, as long as Ethereum, as long as the market is still looking bullish in the next little while, I don't see why Qubic can't keep on pushing up and seeing, a lot more market participation. As long as everything else holds steady, Qubic should be doing very well. In fact, Qubic is doing pretty good today. It's up 4.5%, while a lot of altcoins at the current moment are slightly down. You can see the EMAs are facing up with green histogram bars pushing up here on the trend. And if we look at the momentum oscillator, let's see. Momentum is also pushing up. Yes, we're overbought on volatility, which means we could come down for a bit of a dip. But as long as the momentum is trekking to the upside and going to overbought conditions, we can hang out here a little bit more and continue to see the price push upwards. And this is where you get the majority of the gains, is when you see the momentum break above the 70% mark, which we really haven't done here. And maybe the second attempt we finally do, we see a nice, big impulsive move. So the 4 hour is looking okay, but the 4 hour has a lot of work to do because the daily has a lot of work to do. The daily, again, back to the daily, I feel like the daily is the time frame that we really need to watch out for, because the 4 hour might give us a bit of relief, but every 4 hour move to the upside has been responded to by the bears by making a lower low. So what we really want to do is see some major structural change of character. What we want is at least a nice solid double bottom. What we want is at least a nice higher low, maybe another higher high. And then as you see, what I'm actually painting here is a nice rounded bottom, and a scenario where we can see the bullish divergence that we're already experiencing get some follow through to the upside. And that's really what would get us bullish, a change of character. As of now, all we're doing is making lower lows and lower highs, and would be nice to start seeing the price action get some follow through so we can see some higher lows and higher highs. Even if it's like a bit of an impulse, come down, higher low, and then go for the higher high. That's very good. And then we continue to the upside. That's totally fine. Or we, start making a major higher high, and then, back to, it all depends. What we need to see is a breakout out of this trend. The trend has been trending to the downside with lower lows and lower highs for way too long. And at this point, we're not really even getting a change of character. So we really need to wait for that before we take too much risk. Obviously, right now could be the beginning of a bottom. I think it's really early to assume that it's the bottom just based on risk management. It could be that we do make another lower low, and I don't want to be caught on the wrong side here, but I am accumulating. I'll be honest, I have been accumulating. I bought all throughout this dip, bit by bit, 10% at a time out of my allocation that I want to deploy. And I'm actually thinking that I should be deploying a lot more once I see the structural change. Once I see some sort of bottom, rounded bottom, that's where I feel like I'm going to be deploying a lot more capital. Guys, risk management is important. Despite my bullishness, despite my interest, despite what other people are saying, despite, the buzz around the markets about Qubic, it's very important that we understand that we want confirmations. We want a bit of a slowdown from the bears, which I feel like we're going to get very, very soon. And then we start deploying heavy bags. And just make sure that you're not too late to the party, because then once it runs, it's going to be too late. So DCA, nice and slow, find those bottoms, accumulate a bit at each bottom, and you should be okay. And just be aware of your invalidations. Right now, multiple zeros, 1431, which is the previous low, slightly above the wick. You don't have to include the wick if you do or don't. The very low volume wick anyway. Just understand, if we start breaking below this level, guys, it's very likely we start making lower lows, unfortunately. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. See you tonight, guys, 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.